Not up on the website, Benzinga.
I'm starting it. I just did.
Okay.
Good morning, traders and investors. Welcome to the Wednesday's edition of Pre-Market Prep. I'm your co-host, Joel Elconin. Spencer Israel is taking the day off today, so I am here with Dennis Dick. We got a lot to cover on today's show. We do have the markets here trading in the red pretty deeply. I'll go over that in 1 second, down by 20 handles. But on today's show, we're going to talk about end of the quarter, some wild action there in the last few minutes. We're going to talk about some warrants and Draftkings with some very strange price action. We're going to talk about Beyond Meat partnering with Alibaba and just a lot of other earnings from FedEx trading sharply higher, and then also Macy's. So we got a lot to talk about today. Let's bring in Triple D.
I'm here. I think we're working maybe on YouTube. We're not working on the Benzinga.premarket site. So Joel, if you can enable the premarket.benzinga.com site, it is not working there. So we are, I believe, up on YouTube. Joel's trying to figure out how to enable that site, but that's not working. So multiple complaints.
It says it's a.
You're losing that B. You're losing that B- grade here, Joel.
My Lord.
Don't lose your B- grade. We are working on YouTube. We've just posted the link. So on the premarket.benzinga.
It says enabled. It says enabled.
I can't help what it says. I don't know anything about the background. I can just tell you it is absolutely not working on the premarket.benzinga site. So if you are on the premarket.benzinga site, you won't be able to hear us anyways. But we did post the link in the chat. We're up on YouTube. The show must go on. So Joel's B+ is in serious jeopardy here.
Man. I am clicking on it.
Serious jeopardy here. Can you hear us on YouTube? YouTube is loud and clear. So our YouTube is working. I don't know how to put it on the Benzinga.premarket site, so we can't help you there. So let's just listen to it on YouTube. Hopefully people will find us over there. The show must go on. So YouTube chat,
I'm so disappointed.
You lost that B+ grade right away. You're sitting at a solid C- on this
I'm
one,
sitting
Joel.
there. Do you want me to bring this over here and show you?
You're sitting at a solid C- right now because we're not working on our main site. Spencer's shaking his head at you for sure right now. Wait. He's got it. He's got it, folks. We are up on the premarket.benzinga site. What did you do? It just came up. It's good now. Joel, you fixed it. You just went from your C- back to your B-. You're not getting the B+ because you're late, but you went from the C to the B.
Whew. That was close.
Working. Hit refresh. It's working. We think we're working everywhere.
S&P futures trading in the red by 20 1/4 handles. We got above the close was 83 1/4. We had a little bit of a rally to start things out, and then we kind of came unraveled. Pre-market low down at 62.75, folks. I can't give you any good numbers down there. You had Monday's close at 47.75. The intraday low from yesterday, if you want to use that as a target, that's 37.5. Crude is up 60 cents at 39.87. Gold in the red by $6 at 17.94.5. Silver in the red as well. Bitcoin, that's still hanging in the lower at 9,000s, 9,205. Just talking about this, I just want this gold chart. I know you gold bugs are just waiting for this move over 1,800. It did get above there, but man, oh man, there's just a wall. You need to close above 1,800 in order to get that next breakout. So Triple D, we had a late night conversation here on some Draftkings warrants. And I
what
can bring
a story
that
this
up.
is. So I can give you, and this is going to take a good 5 minutes, but it's a good story. So what we're talking about is DKNGW, and it is actually one of the biggest winners. If you're looking, it's up 39% today, and this is a wild story. So I was holding these Draftkings warrants last Thursday, and they were starting to trade away from the intrinsic value. So what a warrant is, it's the right to buy a stock at a certain price prior to the expiration date. A lot of times when you have new offerings, warrants come along with them. They don't always trade public, but in this case, some of them did. So these Draftkings warrants were giving the holders of DKNGW the rights to buy Draftkings. If you pay $11.50, you get one share of Draftkings. So that's why typically they trade about $11.50 below DKNG, because you have to give the $11.50 to get the shares. That's where the fair value is. They started to deviate from that, and I actually bought some back on Thursday because they were coming down in price, and I'm like, okay, well, it's getting low enough that, I'm just going to do the ARB here. But they started drifting farther away from them. I'm like, wait a second, what's going on? So I went and just search the press releases, and you can do that, just looking through your Benzinga Pro. And I found the press release saying, I'm like, these expire tomorrow. And I didn't realize this was Thursday, the 25th, and they were set to expire on June 26th at 5 p.m. I was like, they've moved it up. I didn't know. It was a press release back from May 30th. So it was out there that they were expiring on June 26th. And it says clearly in the press release that if you hold these past 5 p.m., they will not be exercisable, and their value will just be the face value of them, which is 1 cent. So I didn't think much of it. I sold them on Thursday, or I sold them on Friday because I didn't feel like doing the exercise. And I didn't think much about it again. I didn't notice it trading yesterday, but then last night it hits my filter, DKNGW, and it's trading down like 30%. And I'm like, wait a second. I'm saying to myself, I'm like, why is DKNGW still trading? Because these the expiration date is over. These should have been delisted. So I tweet out, and this is around 4:30. I tweet out that I'm pretty sure the exercise, because somebody asked, I went to and was looking just on Twitter, and I said, this was my tweet at 4:30. I said, pretty sure the exercise date passed last Friday. I'm not sure why these are still trading, DKNGW. They proceeded to trade until about 7:30 last night when they got halted. And obviously, somebody at the exchange figured this out, that, hey, these shouldn't be trading anymore because there's not even any value. So here you've got something trading and closing at $14.65 that has only a 1 cent value. So this, is a head scratcher to a certain extent for a lot of people. So I tweet out, I'm like, I tweet out again, it's halted due to pending news. The last date exercise was Friday. And I said, it appears to me that people who have been buying something for the last 2 days that has a 1 cent value. I have 3 people reach out to me on Twitter saying, I'm holding the DKNGW warrants. What do I do? And I'm like, call your broker, because this really shouldn't have been trading for the last couple days. So people who have been buying this are basically screwed. They're buying something at $22, $21, $20. And obviously it leaked yesterday all the way down to 14 as people are starting to realize that there's no value. Could potentially be people shorting them. I don't know that you could get the borrow, but if you could, that could potentially be happening. So I'm like, call your broker, because this obviously wasn't communicated to the exchanges very well, because they still have it listed. So wouldn't you know, this morning, or because they halt the stock last night at 7:30, and then wouldn't you know, what they do is they halt the stock this morning. They come out with a press release, Draftkings 6:30, and they extend the expiration date to July 2nd at 5 p.m. tomorrow. I'm assuming a lot happened in the last 24 hours here. Probably, after the exchange halted it, realizing this is last night 7:30, realizing that, we didn't know that you had, moved up the expiration date on these things. They probably didn't see the press release. Maybe the company didn't communicate clearly to the exchange. We don't know exactly what's happening in the back, but obviously these things should not be trading if they don't have any value. So, the company is now bailing out everybody who bought in the last couple days. And obviously the people who bought yesterday, they're going to be making some money, because they have now extended the expiration date to tomorrow at 5 p.m. So crazy saga here for DKNGW. I'm sure some of those warrant holders from last night, the 3 people, reaching out to me or breathing a sigh of relief here this morning as the warrants that they bought yesterday or Monday and Tuesday now have value once again. And that is why you're seeing the 41% pop back in DKNGW.
And so what's the lesson? What should investors, what should listeners of the show take away from this whole fiasco?
Warrants are sophisticated investments, and you have to pay attention because things like this happen. The company issued a press release a month ago, so they gave you quite a bit of warning telling you that this was the date. Although it was poorly communicated, like I said, I bought it, and I just didn't like the trading action, so my spidey senses were telling me something's going on. So that's when I went and Googled and I found that press release, or I could have been one of these people caught with those warrants as well. So the lesson is when you are buying warrants and you're buying sophisticated products, warrants don't have an automatic exercise. It's not like an option. A deep in the money call option will automatically exercise. Warrants will not. You need to contact your broker to exercise them. If the exercise date passes, the final expiration date passes, which it did last Friday, those warrants are worthless. So they were worthless Monday and Tuesday, but obviously they had so many customer complaints because they were trading on the exchange for the last couple of days that the company came and they extended the date. So I'm telling you now, if you are holding these warrants, you now only have until tomorrow at 5 p.m. to either sell them in the open market or exercise them. If you hold them past tomorrow, there's no way they're going to bail you out again. So if you're holding these warrants, you need to exercise them by tomorrow at 5 p.m. Call your broker, exercise them, or you need to sell them in the open market. You have one today and tomorrow until 5 p.m. according to the press release that, and I can post that press release here.
Right, and but they brought it right back. They brought it right back to par, correct? They're back.
It came right back to par this morning. Yeah, because the ARBs come in, they're like, oh, boom, boom, boom. There's free money here. We'll bring it right back up. So it's right back at 11.50. So you can add on 11.50. It's 21.50 bid. DKNGW is DKNG is trading at 33.50. So it's 33. So you're still 50 cents better if you exercise right now. But there's probably, some people that say, I don't want to bother with any of this now. Just give me out and, I'll hit it at 21.50 and I'll move on. Just to not go through all the shenanigans that obviously you've been through here. But I hope everybody who owns these warrants is listening to the show. You have until tomorrow at 5 p.m. because there's no way they're going to bail you out again. So how does this happen? I actually have a backstory for this too. This can happen where the company puts out a press release but doesn't communicate it clearly to the exchange. These are listed on the NASDAQ. So I'm speculating, I do not know, I'm speculating because the company came good and extended the date, I'm speculating that they did not clearly communicate this to NASDAQ, and NASDAQ maybe didn't see the press release. So, and obviously, your broker should be contacting you. I hope, if you've got a good broker, and a lot of these discount brokerages don't have, maybe, the manpower to be looking through all the press releases too. But if you've got a full service broker, you would hope that your broker would be giving you the information that I'm giving you and telling you in a notice that, hey, these are going to expire. What do you want to do? I go through Goldman and I get notices on stuff like this. If I'm holding something that's going to expire, I'll get a notice in an email saying you are holding this security that is set to expire or set to be called in the next 2 days, just giving you notice and let us know what you want to do. So hopefully the brokerage. So there's three people really.
What about the impact, Dennis? I want you to mention the impact. Is there any impact at all on the Draftkings stock, which has taken a haircut over the last few days?
Yeah, there probably was. It was probably getting hit because there could be potentially people who are buying, the warrants and selling DKNG against it. They're not realizing, like the uninformed ARBs, not realizing that the expiration date had moved up to last Friday. So, like I said, I'm fairly informed, and I was holding these warrants, and just because the way it was trading, I was like, something's off. And that's what made me go and search for the press release, but it wasn't clearly communicated to me either. So I'm just thinking that DraftKings put out the press release and they thought that was good enough, but they need to clearly communicate to the exchange. Because DraftKings came good and extended the expiration date, it makes me think that they were somewhat, at fault on this, and they came good for it. So good for DraftKings for coming good and making those warrants and giving everybody an option, and giving everybody the option to exercise for an extra couple of days here. So I'm happy for the warrant holders. I'm happy for those 3 people who reached out to me last night and said, look, you know, do I own a worthless security? And I said, you technically do, but I'm like, call your broker because this was poorly communicated. It shouldn't definitely not have been trading on the exchange for the last 2 days. I mean, if the exchange bloody doesn't know about it, you know, how do you expect the individual investor to know about it? So lots of lessons to be learned. One, if you're a company and you're calling in your warrants, you're redeeming them, then you need to clearly communicate that to the exchange. I know this happens because I got, like I said, this backstory, and I'll quickly go through that. I've been at Bright Trading for 20 years. We did business. It was a lot of human involvement years ago. So I'm going back probably 15, 17 years ago. And I was trading a preferred stock, and it started trading really weird. And then I'm like, what's going on here? And then I Googled same thing, and I found the press release, and I was like, they redeemed this preferred stock 2 days ago. I'm like, how is it still trading? So anyways, I own this preferred stock. I'm like, well, what the hell do I do? So anyway, so I call my broker, which was Goldman Sachs, and they call down to the exchange and on my behalf, and they put me on the 3-way call. So I get to actually hear this stuff. That wouldn't happen anymore, but I get to hear like the whole kind of inside way of what was going on. My Goldman broker saying, look, my customer just bought something that's been redeemed and shouldn't even be trading. And the exchange executive said to him, and I can remember this call, said to him, how am I supposed to know that something is redeemed when the company doesn't tell me? You expect me to read every press release that's out there? They need to clearly communicate that to me. So he's like, I see it now, and, you know, I'll call it in, but, you know, and then, you know, they made everything good. But you can see just the lack of the communication there that you know, obviously the company didn't communicate to the exchange. I get the exchange's argument. I mean, the company doesn't clearly communicate it. Do you expect the exchange to read through every single press release and, you know, and make sure that everything, it's kind of a difficult task. There's a lot of press releases, you know, thousands a day from thousands of different companies. So I'd imagine, this is just, you know, because of that backstory, I'd imagine that's what happened in this case, that the exchange or that the company didn't clearly communicate to the exchange, and that's why they've made everybody good. So it's a story with a happy ending, unless you're short the DKNGW warrants, and then you're mad.
That was my
you're
idea.
Short, you're mad.
I'm like, get out there at 4 a.m. and hit those warrants. And I'm glad you used some discretion on that.
I don't know if you even could.
If you could have got tomorrow.
Yeah, like you want me to try?
No.
I'm curious.
Okay.
I doubt you could even get a locate on that. So
okay.
Hopefully nobody. I cannot get a locate on that. So hopefully, I just tried. So hopefully nobody's short it. If they are, I feel sorry for you. You're getting screwed. So right now the shorts are getting screwed. The longs now are made whole. If you shorted this yesterday and you actually read the press release and you knew that, you know, according to this press release from May 30th, these are worthless now, and you're selling this thing at $20 and $15 and $14 and $11 after hours if you were selling it short. Even if you sold it, you kind of got screwed too. So this saga might not be completely over because there's still some people that got screwed here.
I forgot to mention at the top of the show, Happy Canada Day, Dennis.
I know, this is supposed to be my holiday, and look at how much work you're making me do. Research, press releases, find out. This is crazy stuff.
Yeah, so, you're working overtime.
Always working overtime.
FedEx. Let's get to FedEx. After the close, big old beat by $1 and a penny. $1.52 was the street. Estimates $2.53. Sales beat as well by like $1 billion, 17.4 versus 16.4. Rich traded way up in the pre-market triple D. I hope you didn't get down and dirty in this one on the short side.
No, and you know what? I'm kicking myself because I said to myself 2 days ago, I kind of want to go long this into earnings because you think about how many people are getting deliveries. The wild card would be businesses aren't getting as many deliveries though. So how does that balance out? But I know how many packages are showing up at my doorstep, and FedEx is delivering a lot of these packages in UPS, and it made me kind of want to be long. I am long FedEx, so full disclosure, my long-term investment portfolio, right? I do have FedEx, but I wanted it on for a trade. And I forgot about it. And then I saw the beat. I was like, I forgot, because I was thinking about taking it long into the earnings because I kind of felt like they were going to blow it away. And they do. So it's up $15 here. So up 11%. Disappointed in myself that I didn't take it through earnings. UPS as well, trading up 5% in sympathy. Big moves here for FedEx. Deserved. This was a great quarter for them. They obviously benefited from COVID. It was the wild card that you didn't know because you knew business deliveries were going to be down because so many businesses are closed, but the residential businesses obviously picked up the slack and then some.
So what are we gonna do here with this issue? Your pre-market high has
I'm
come in
holding.
at 156.95. Holy mackerel! This is getting back to just where we fell off a cliff. I have no daily highs here. I have 157.72. There you go. 157.72. We're trading at 155.50. That was your February 24th high. So if you held this thing all the way through the March debacle, you are getting your money back here. The day that hit 157.72, you closed at 154.85. If somehow, if some way they can get that above that level, your next daily high comes in at 164.14. We are leaking a little bit. So if you're buying this off the open, I don't think I'd like fall in love with it. Maybe under 154, I see a little support. But big move in the overnight after hours and pre-market. It's continuing. UPS
We're not
is
liking on the overall market, I'll tell you that though. We're rallying right now. What's up? Is there something catalyst here taking us up? Boeing's rallying, which is helping. Like I said, Boeing has been in the market. We were down as much as 5 points this morning on Boeing. We're only down $1 here now. So I'm not sure if there's individual news there, but we're rallying. We're rallying.
Maybe they landed another plane.
The Boeing saga is interesting in itself. I mean, and obviously this Beyond Meat saga. Should we go to that one because this one's interesting too? It's like they lose a contract.
Let's go to Macy's.
Okay, we'll finish up the earnings. Joel, keep us on track. You're doing a good job. Yeah. You just went from your B- to a B.
I tell you, I don't know what happened with. I looked at it. I don't know. I think it was. I think you were a little. Everyone was just a little impatient. That's what I think. That's what I think happened. All right. So they did lose.
Kaya in the chat telling us that we did have an 815 number. I did not realize that.
Okay, so it was a good. Now, yeah. I talked to Spencer about that yesterday. Yeah, because that usually comes out on 30 on Thursday and the jobs number on Friday. And since, we
moved it up.
Exactly. We moved it up here.
So the jobs number is tomorrow?
Yeah.
Ooh, yes, it's a big week, eh? You get the end of the quarter. We had a Russell rebalance last Friday. You're getting a holiday on the Friday. You get the jobs number on Thursday. I'm supposed to get a holiday today. There's a lot going on this week.
It's a big week. Okay, so Macy's, well, let's see here. They didn't lose as much money as everyone thought. They thought they were going to lose $257. They only lost $203. A little light on sales here. Estimates were at $3.68 billion. That was an estimate. They came in at $3.02 billion. So they didn't lose as much money. Heard a lot of chatter here about Macy's and Amazon buying them. And I'm thinking, why? But
exactly.
Anyways,
it was in Barron's, wasn't it? And they were saying that maybe Amazon would buy Macy's. What I say is, first of all, why don't you look at it like a JC? If you're looking for retail space, JC Penney's bankrupt. I'm sure they need some money. Second is obviously Macy's has a lot of real estate, but companies struggling. I mean, why pay a premium
throw them a life
for
preserver?
It? Yeah, why throw them a life preserver? I'd let them sink, and then maybe in a restructuring type deal, you go after that real estate. But I don't think Amazon's coming to the rescue here. Macy's gonna have to figure it out on their own. I don't think they're getting a life preserver.
A couple things why, and then we'll get into their price action. One is that they do have some decent online sales, Macy's, so that would look nice. I don't know exactly what that figure is, but and also, I mean, like you said, the retail space. But man, I'm sure there's a lot of empty spots at the local malls to fill. But you're trading. It's kind of undecided here on the beat. It's trading down 11 cents. I don't know. Not a lot of action here. Let's go to. I'm looking at here at the pre-market trading. Let me adjust it here on my other chart for you, and I'll see if I can get some good levels for you. And you spiked over $7. I'm gonna look at it's been sleepy lately. couple highs in the 7 handle, 709 through 741. I don't know. A lot of resistance up here. I think if you really want this thing to get going, it's going to have to get over 750. I'm not sure it's going to happen. On the downside, someone's been standing there at $6, 596, your 2-day low. $6 even was your low last Friday. So that's what you're looking at in Macy's. Nothing real crazy. Let's just finish up the earnings parade from this morning.
Sure.
You have General Mills here with a beat, $1.10 versus $1.06. Sales beat as well. I mean, these stocks have had their runs. How's General Mills trading this morning?
It's down. This wasn't a huge beat. I mean, you had Conagra yesterday, and obviously slightly different business models, but still food stock, and Conagra beat pretty big time. So they set the bar a little bit higher for GIS, and GIS did not go above that higher bar. So it's getting hit here. Again, this isn't a stock that just gets slammed. I think you got support in the lower 59s. I'm not sure where it traded in the pre-market. I wasn't watching this one, but you've had multiple lows over the last month in the low 59s. I think it bounces down there.
You're exactly right. 60. Someone has an opinion at $60 here. That's your pre-market low. I see you have one low in the down at 59.16, but overall 4 lows littered in the 59 handle. So call it 59.50, 59.60. But keep an eye on this one. I know this is a pretty good mover, but look at this daily here on this one, Dennis. Let me get that out of the way and let me pull up the daily chart. And this is kind of like a cliffhanger, isn't it? I mean, you do have the lows, that's the 59.16 low. You have these other lows here, but man, you just been hanging here. I'm not going to draw a trend line or anything.
It's important
fancy,
to hold that level.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Big level.
Considerable downside after that. Does anybody care about Constellation Brands?
Yeah, quickly. Let's just do it and we're done the earnings.
Okay. Yep. I know you want
Going to your trusty Benzinga Pro.
Yeah, I'm doing everything, man. I'm doing the charts.
This is a good beat. I'll do it for you. Constellation Brands, $2.44 versus $2.01. So a nice beat on the bottom line. Sales a little bit light, 1.96 billion versus 1.97 billion. But with that bottom line beat, Constellation Brands is trading higher. ST Zebra trading up 3 points here in the pre-market. It's kind of quiet. It's only traded 17,000 shares. So still, you could still say it's going to be a lot of price discovery at the open. 180. Let's see what it does at 180. It gets up there. That's where you double top back on May 27th and May 28th. We snuck our head above that. I mean, there is some overhead supply here, though. Can it break out? It's not really in bull mode until it gets above 189, which is a long ways away. So you're still kind of in the range. I'd say this is a curveball. I'm not swinging at it because you're in the middle of the trading range.
180, boom. That is your, let's see, a couple brackets. You hit that 180, 20, 180, 10. Yeah, 180, 21, back off of 178. So you got to get a $3 rally. Very important for this to get over that pre-market high and continue. All right. So we got some news in Beyond Meat here. And I don't know how many times they're going to rally on this China deal. But a report, I don't know if it's confirmed yet, that they are going to partner with Alibaba. Nice move in Beyond Meat. This one sold
so
off
what's
for
the headline? Let's just give the headline here. So it's from the Benzinga Pro. We're looking at a headline that Beyond Meat is to make their Chinese retail debut with Alibaba partnership. And this was out there last night. And if you look, the stock's getting the big lift. I mean, they lost the McDonald's, apparently, lost the McDonald's, at least Canada contract there because it wasn't going well. And that's when the stock really got slammed the last couple of days. So now they look like they're maybe picking up Alibaba. This thing moves 10% every time there's a contract, going or coming. So it moves just on contracts. The valuation has never made any sense, but we know stocks can, have the valuations don't matter on certain stocks for a long time. You can look at Tesla and say, valuation hasn't mattered for that for a long time either. I mean, certain stocks just people don't look at them on value; they're looking at them on growth. So this is, obviously been a growth story. It's been doing well, but as they get contracts, it rallies up 9%. As they lose them, they drop significantly. I think you have some overhead supply up here. I don't think I would be a buyer of this pop, and normally I don't buy pops at all. It's buy the dip, sell the rip. This is a rip, so I would sell the rip on this if I owned it.
148.70. That is your pre-market high. You just hit that just a couple brackets ago. What do you have on the dailies? If you're looking through follow through after this, 151.75 would be an important level if in fact you can take out the pre-market high. Also, this has been a nice uptrend here since March, and when we peaked out here at 167, that was a high of the rally. How low did we get here? 167. I'd say I call that about a 40-point break. So if you want a resumption of this uptrend, 155 is your key. Rally up above 155, hold 155, and maybe get it back up. But first time up here pretty quickly. I'm not sure if we're going to see that today, but pre-market high, it comes in at 148.70. So
we're going to get Chuck on here in 5 minutes. Can we do some yeah, Chuck's in the background waiting. We'll bring him on in 4 minutes here. Can we do some symbols from the chat? Because there's a lot of symbols getting thrown at us here. Let's do Nikola. We haven't talked it for a while. Ooh. I just want to get your technical thoughts in here. It's been sleepy here for a few days. I mean, you think about the wild ride Nikola had in early June when it went from $40 to $73 in 2 days. It's been a quiet consolidation of that move. My thoughts are, as long as this holds, and it's a long ways down, I'll say as long as it holds about $59, it could just be consolidating the recent move and could still have upside. But if you get below 59, I'd be nervous. And even taking it as close as the last few days, if you fell below that 62.87 low, I'd start to get nervous too. So you're in a big battle between the bulls and the bears. A lot of times you see a big move and then there's consolidation and eventually the move resolves itself to the upside. So I won't argue with you. If you're still long this, it starts breaking down below 60, I'd get nervous.
Yeah, same thing here. I'll go with your analysis. Actually, it's starting to get tighter. I see the low at 59.21 and then a couple lows at 61 and change. Actually, those are your 3 out of your 4 lows. This is going back to the middle of June. So round ball, $60. The highs have come down. You had a 76.30 high on the 24th, and then your highs have come down. 472, 365, 192, and then 70.83 yesterday. So if you want to get excited about this, at least you want to break your string of lower highs. Double close too right here at 67, 57, and 53. So a lot of consolidation. If you're just a true trend follower, then this is a big move up. You've had a pullback, you've had consolidation, and the consolidation for the move based long term on this chart is higher, but we'll see. S&P is coming back to life here, only down 12 handles at 78.25. Perhaps liking that ADP number. Looking forward to a good jobs number tomorrow. Okay, what next?
CARV. I have no idea what this is. So this is a company that's obviously went crazy here. Look at this chart. I don't know what's going on, if it had a reverse split or what it is, if that chart's real. I don't follow this company at all, so I can't tell you fundamentally anything about it other than I assume it's a bank because this is Carver Bancorp. But it went, looking in early June, middle of June, from $2 up to $22. I'm not sure if that was a reverse split and the chart just isn't adjusted. Is your chart adjusted for that? But it looks to me like it went up. And then yesterday, I don't know what was going on. It went from 16, opened at 15, and then gave it all back down to $6.21. This is above my pay grade trading something like this. I have no idea, but I'm not following the story either.
You're right. Carver Bancorp. Resistance is hard to find. You're getting a little, because of the wild day yesterday.
It's ridiculous, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I see support. I see support here. You got a pair of lows at 531, 545, stepped up to 604 yesterday. I don't know what you're going to do.
So you know what the headline was, which who the hell knows? It says there was rumors that Netflix was going to invest $100 million in here or something. So that was the rumor.
It says in the Black community's financial institutions.
I don't understand anything about what this is. So I'm not following the story. But it says Netflix to invest $100 million in Black communities financial institutions.
You know what this moved off? The UONE. Remember that? UONE.
Why did it move off that though?
Because that is a radio station or a series of radio stations that
There's
caters
a relationship here.
to the African American community. And they thought, remember that stock had the big move here?
Yeah,
So
I
I
remember UONE, but I wasn't following the story closely there either.
yeah,
So
yeah,
either way, I'm not following the story. I don't think Joel's following the CARV story very closely either. I can just tell you when a stock gives it all back like that, the move probably wasn't warranted. Can it bounce? It is this morning, and we saw the UONE give it all back and then have a big bounce after that. So they can bounce. So I don't know, like it could have a bounce, but again, these stories, they get hot and then they cool off, and usually rallies are to be sold. But UONE, I said that day when it had given all back, and then it had a bigger move than it did originally. So who knows? I wouldn't want to be shorted. I'll say that.
Okay, it is 8:35, and we're going to bring in Chuck Self, and he's the CIO of iSectors. He joins the show periodically to give us his thoughts on the market. He has some tickers that he wants to share with us. And are you? Did we set you up so you can share your screen, or do you want me to pull the charts up for you?
No, you go ahead and do it.
Okay. All right, Chuck, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. Wild day.
Should I sing the first line of "Oh Canada"?
Yeah, I know. Give me a break here.
Oh, Canada.
He knows it too. Are you Canadian?
No, but I'm from Minnesota, so it's close.
Oh, okay. So you're half Canadian.
Yeah, right.
So am I. You know that, Dennis. Half Canadian. You always mention
Joel
that.
is. Yeah, Joel's mother was a Canadian, so I know he makes fun of us Canadians, but really he's half Canadian.
No. You guys are the sane ones.
Okay, so SGOL here.
Yeah.
Right.
So I thought we could talk about some of the precious metals tickers.
Sure.
Aberdeen Standard has a whole suite of precious metals stocks, or I should say ETFs that track the metals. And so this is a really interesting time, I think. And for traders, that these are big trend following tickers. So let's take a look at them. At SGOL, you see that it's been at a 4-year plus uptrend. It seems to have broken out. I'm not a great technician, so you could correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, but it seems to have broke out, and it could easily go back to the 2011 high of 1894. There's tremendous demand for gold at this point. There's the ETFs itself, and also institutions and pension plans have started saying, hey, we need another diversifier besides fixed income. We're going to use precious metals. And so we're starting to see great demand there.
You think that's it? You think it's the shift, the asset allocation out of the fixed income? And also, I mean, when I look at any of these stocks, anything related to this, I mean, I'm just looking at this $1,800 level, and it just keeps. I mean, to me, when I see things like that, I like to see it break above it, make a high, 1820, 1830, and then come back and then make that area of support here. It's been in a long-term trading range, but boy, oh boy, it's just bumping against its head under 1700. So whatever, you're going to sit to this one, whether it takes out 1800 or not. Do you have a target on this one?
Well, again, I'm not a technician, so I don't really have a target. Okay. But we saw a trade above 1800 yesterday, and actually in the futures it closed above 1800 yesterday. And so maybe we're on the way to the move that you're talking about, Joel. I think the traders need to look at that. The next one is SIVR. SIVR, I think, is really interesting. You see, if you go a long term, you see a big downtrend from 2016 to 2020. Of course, it got hurt in the market decline. And the question is, can it get back to its recent high around 19? And if you look way back, the all-time high is 49. So it really has dropped from the 2011 high. SIVR was the big winner when QE started with the Fed, and it had a big run up from 2008 to 2011, and it's very leveraged to the Asian economies reopening. So and then there's been a big mine closing impacts in silver, more so than gold. At one point, 2/3 of the mines were closed due to the COVID-19 situation. So Again, I think in all these, we're waiting to see the kind of action that you're talking about, Joel. But it's it's something that could happen in the
Yeah,
coming
they're
weeks.
knocking on the door here. We're on the line with Chuck Self. He's the CIO of iSectors, joining us here, discuss issues that he likes to follow. We're talking about the metals. Can you explain? I mean, to me, like gold and silver. I mean, there is some really different movements going in this. I mean, they used to be much highly correlated. Do you have any possible reasons for these? I mean, they're still both going up in a pattern, but like on a percentage basis, it seemed like they never line up. Talk to us
What?
about the gold and silver kind of not moving together as much.
Yeah. Silver always is more volatile than gold, but again, in the moves of the past, let's say 15 years, the volatility of silver has just shot up compared to gold, and it hasn't performed as well as gold. The ratio, the gold to silver ratio, is at all-time high. Silver has been the big laggard, and part of it is that silver isn't an industrial metal also, and we've had this low global economic growth, and so silver has not, wasn't in demand as much as it should have been for a time of economic growth. The other thing, of course, is that gold has become very important for central banks. And so the central banks buying of gold has been huge over the past few years. And that has helped the demand for gold. Gold is kind of the easy thing to own for the long-term investors. Silver is very difficult for long-term investors to own, but for traders, silver is a fantastic thing to follow.
I mean, obviously the precious metals here haven't had a good time for a while, but in the last couple of months here, really perking up. I mean, I own some silver. I don't own any gold, but I own some silver. But you look at gold and it's moving up. I mean, so maybe this is the environment with all the uncertainty with the virus that, gold and silver start to outperform. The charts are telling you that, these look like that the precious metals are getting some love.
Yeah, and we have a precious metals strategy that has gold, silver, platinum, and palladium, and it's up over 6%.
What's that one?
Let's go to that one. That's PPLT.
Yeah. Platinum has been the dog, so to speak. There's a global change from diesel-based vehicles to gas-based vehicles. Platinum is used in catalytic converters for diesel-based vehicles, whereas palladium is used for gas-based vehicles. And so platinum has not had, as you can see here, it hasn't done much over the past few years. It did get a rise here because, again, almost 70% of the mines in South Africa, which is where it mainly comes from, were shut down, and it's been slow to regain. And so I'm not as excited about platinum, though, in the long run. Palladium, though, PALL, holy cow. Palladium has been a monster. I mean, it started 2019 at 125, or PAL did 125, went to 188, went to 273 in February, and then halved to 137 in March, and then almost doubled again to 232 in March. It's now around 183. And again, palladium is the metal for catalytic converters, gas-based ones, and that's where everything's going. China is almost all gasoline-based catalytic converters, and everyone has tighter emission standards. If the party of the president changes here this year, and especially if the Senate changes, there's going to be tremendously tighter emission standards going forward, and more tighter emissions, more palladium that gets used. And again, there's been some mine disruptions in palladium, but
yeah, that looks like that is winding up there a little bit. I can see the big move that it had, some consolidation. I mean,
Consolidation for 2 months.
Yeah.
No, it's if you really like to take a ride, PALL is
Looks like a
is
wild
the
one.
horse. It's the Mustang. of the group right now. So all of these should be looked at, whether you're a trader or an investor. The secular move is going to be out of bonds into these four precious metals, and so there's going to be a lot of opportunities in either case.
Where does copper? Do you follow copper at all?
No, I don't follow it closely. I know that copper, again, is having some increase in demand here in the past few weeks, especially again as China opens up. But it should be followed. It's everyone knows it's the PhD of commodities as far as the economy is concerned, and it has done decently well. The question, of course, is, especially if the U.S. doesn't control its coronavirus problem, what's going to happen to the industrial demand in the U.S.?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing I was thinking here about copper, and a lot of it, using a lot of for industrial purposes here. Nice rally here in copper. So we covered all the metals here, Chuck. Now I know you've probably run a diversified portfolio. We talked about
Right.
The metals here. How about just some overall market talk? I mean, I don't know if you knew this, Chuck, but this was the best quarter since 1987. I don't know if you knew that. Did you know that?
I knew that, but again, it followed the first quarter. So,
which was the worst one in 100 years.
Was it Three Dog Night that had the song that said, "What goes up must come down"? And
Three Dog Night. Nice music reference on that. Dennis, you're probably too young to know who they are.
No. I've been in business for 40 years, so I do know who they are. But in any case, it clearly, the stock market had a rebound with the hope that the COVID situation is going to be over. We're going to be a V-shape. We do not think this is going to be a V-shaped recovery. We think the market, we're in the camp that the market has overdone it. And now I think we're going to see in the third quarter earning reports, the second quarter earnings numbers don't matter, but it's what they think is going to happen for the rest of the year and into 2021. And our suspicion and our modeling work shows that it's probably going to be disappointing. And so we think you should be in the diversifiers. We still are overweighted in bonds. We've had a great year because we've been overweighted bonds the whole year. We looked stupid for the first month and a half, and then all of a sudden we look smart. Now I have to say none of us predicted COVID-19, but we just think that the market was going that way anyway. So we're overweight bonds, we're overweight metals, and if you have to own stocks, utilities is where we're
going for the yield.
Well, yeah, and technologies also. I mean, we're doing the barbell, the technology utilities barbell.
That's a good one.
All right,
a little bit of growth, a little bit of yield. I like that. That's kind of what I do. Yeah. I didn't realize. I don't always use utility stocks for it, but I got a lot of tech stocks and I got a lot of higher yielding plays. So I guess I do the barbell approach too.
We love barbells usually, and we really love barbells now.
We've been on the line with Chuck Self. He's the CIO of iSectors, joining us here this morning to talk about the metals markets, the overall market. Chuck, I'm glad I caught up with you, and we'll have to get you back on again soon. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Joe and Dennis.
Thanks, Chuck.
All right. Nice little rally here. Nice little rally in the S&P futures. The buy the dippers, Supreme here, went down to 62.75. Kind of liking that ADP number. Let's see. Did I mark halfway back on the session? Oh, we're more than halfway back on the session. We're 10 points off, just about 10 points off the pre-market high. Yesterday's high, they got a little bit silly when they took it to 31.01 and a quarter. Just above that, the intraday high from Friday, 04 and a half. I always talk about the intraday high versus the 24-hour high, and that's the high between 9:30 and 4:15. Just wanted to do just a little broad market talk here, and you guys always hear me talking about, the top components in the S&P. Been following them for a long time, way back when ExxonMobil was the top component, and good old General Electric was in there. But how times have changed, and now with the two Googles, it's still the top 10 stocks. But I combine these Googles the 2 Googles. And right now, and everyone talks about this, you have 10 stocks that make up 30% of the S&P 500.
That's incredible. And when we first started doing pre-market prep, I can remember this was one of the things that we often talked about, and I think the number was 18. So that the top 10 stocks made up 18% of the overall index. It's now 30, and that just goes to show you it could be the ETF effect, where everybody's buying the same companies and they're jumping in. But I mean, go through those 10 names. Some of them have changed, but for the most part, it's the same ones at the top: the Microsofts, the Apples, the Googles, the Amazons.
Yep. Oh, it's all tech. I mean, Microsoft, Apple.
It shows you how strong tech has been. Can you show it? Do you have it on your screen, or you maybe don't have it?
Let me see here. Yeah,
show the top 10.
I do.
But that's incredible to think there's 500 components in the S&P. 10 make up 30% of it, and the other 490 make up the other 70%. So the index is very dependent on those top 10 components. They have huge influence. I've even talked about the ETF effects to it before as well, where you get one stock in the top 10 and it starts to dump, has a bad earnings report, and it is very influential on the overall index, not even from a sympathy play, but just that the index itself just holds so many shares that the index is going down as well. So just list them off quickly.
Well, I got it. I actually was able to share that screen. Microsoft is overtaken Apple, right?
Okay, yeah.
So it's Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Google, and Facebook.
Those are the top 5, all tech.
Yes.
That's unbelievable.
Yep. Warren's still hanging in there at number 6 with Berkshire Hathaway.
Even though he doesn't get any love from Dave Portnoy, he's still hanging in there at number 6.
I don't see DDTG on there. Johnson & Johnson.
Are they number 7?
Yeah.
J&J?
Yeah, they've held in there.
They have.
Yeah.
Consumer, they got the little bit of drugs, consumer discretionary. They've held in there well.
JP Morgan.
That's unbelievable that a bank is still in there, because you think about how much the banks have been hit. So JP Morgan is still held in there too, in the top 10.
And
so you've got those all in order. You just watch those every day.
Yeah. Yep. And I'm saying, well, today's a little bit different, but like when the spoos are in the red and I want to short it, and I see Microsoft up 0.5%, Apple up 2%, Amazon up 0.5%. I'm like, okay, that's not a good idea. I better go with the flow, because you see those 5 big boys, and there's been some diverse. These indexes have not all been moving together, but I'm going to talk about that on the later show today. I'm going to bring on my buddy Jim Tassoni, former money manager, and he is going to talk. He's been trading the Russell, the NASDAQ, and the S&P all together, and he's seen some real interesting diversification. So we'll cover that at 3:40 today. And then Visa and Procter Gamble. These are the last 2. And
PG's in there too. So of those top 10, I own SPY in my long-term portfolio, so I'm getting them all.
Everyone.
But I also own Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Google. I sold my Facebook, remember, and I was upset about it. I don't own JP Morgan. I don't own Visa, but I do own MasterCard. So I feel like I'm exposed to Visa in that way. And I do own Procter & Gamble. So it looks like I own 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them directly in my long-term portfolio. And they make up a good chunk of my long-term portfolio, probably because those stocks have done so well. So if you're owning the SPY, just be aware that you've got a big exposure to those top 10 names.
Okay, S&P is only down 4 handles now at 30.86 1/4. Nice rebound off that 62.75 level. We can go. Do we have any interesting rate? We got a couple ratings today. I know we've kind of been quiet on the ratings.
Well, they just haven't been influential, so that's why we haven't been giving the ratings some love. But there's always the odd analyst call it, oh, this one's interesting. I mean, usually the ones that go to sell, those are always interesting too. There's not a lot of those today, but some that just go from buy to sell are interesting as well. There's a few in there. Square's getting some love today.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
I would say Square was one of the most. Do you still got that, Dennis, or did you let it go?
No, I sold it because my thought process was all the retail is closed, and I had bought Square, and then it came all the way back, and I actually, I had held it. I was in it for a long time. I rode that all over the place, and finally I got rid of it in the mid 60s because I was like, look, and this was mid-April, and you could see where the stock was in consolidation station. And I thought it was consolidation to go lower, and I was absolutely wrong. It was consolidation to go higher. I can't understand the Square rally with so much retail struggling, and they're in so many small retail businesses. I don't understand it from a fundamental, logical perspective, but you can't argue with the market. I still like the story, and it has a story, and story stocks have been going, especially story tech. And Square still has the story, despite obviously, being in a lot of small businesses, which many of them are closed.
All right, new all-time high on this thing, and this stock has gotten a lot of love over the past years on the show. I know Sean Emery was very bullish this stock.
I think he still is, so he's
yeah,
been right. Sean, we got to get back on the show because
okay.
Sean, he's tech and he's fundamental, and he jumps and he looks at some certain stocks, and he does a really great job of picking, the next story stock as well. So, he's all over these stories, and he's all over, looking at, the growth in different sectors. So we'll bring Sean back on.
Knocking on the door of a breakout, folks, and you got that breakout this morning. Several highs in a row. There was just a lid. Well, last 2 days it was 105.30. Old-time high. That was made on Friday at 107.84. Didn't have a great close that day. Closed at 104.30. 104.94 was the close from yesterday if you want to pick this up on the cheap. But you could use that 107.84 as a potential target here in shares of Square. That kind of rams. S&P's almost green on the session here. Maybe they will in the next 5 minutes. The other rating, two I want to mention. CAD at Deutsche Bank catches an upgrade, and that stock is coming off the low. Dennis, you see anything in the pre-market on?
Yeah, CAD's trading up here a little bit. It was a reinitiation there because they actually weren't covering it for a bit. But they did come back at buy, so I guess technically that's an upgrade.
Okay.
I'm looking through all these analysts. You got FedEx upgrade. That's just analysts chasing price, which we talk about it. Thanks for after the fact, Jack. DRI downgraded here this morning.
What about GSX?
It's too small. I don't care.
Too small of a stock.
Yeah.
Nah, you don't care
All
about that.
Stuff I don't look at.
Trying to pick a top there. That one in
Pfizer's
Goldman.
got some news here. Chat. Wilkin letting us know here. Vaccine news in Pfizer here today. At least it's what he's saying. If I see the Pfizer pop here, so this might just be breaking here because I actually don't see the headline here yet.
That's a big old move for Pfizer.
Yeah, Pfizer's moving. It's a stock that I own in the long-term portfolio. I actually was hoping we could get down the low 30s so I could buy more. Not the case. I even talked about this when it was 32 a couple of days ago. I said, you have the wild card of the vaccine. So, you're getting a lift here. Apparently, it's vaccine news related here, although I haven't seen the actual headline come through.
I see COVID-19. Well, actually,
see
this
the headline?
But this is in the Pro is on this early. COVID-19 vaccine from Pfizer and BioNTech show positive results. Stat news article. So, and there you go. That's what is lifting the S&P. This is a big move for Pfizer. A really big move and getting back a lot of the losses here for the last few sessions. Don't know if you got any major size at 34 or not. That's your next round number. Let's see what we got on the dailies here. You're trading right at 33.74. That was your high in the 19th, and then I see 33.96. Don't know if there's going to be enough paper in the book to hold this down. It's trading pretty good volume. But nice move for Pfizer.
It's a big move for Pfizer. There is some overhead supply. I'd be a buyer of pullbacks in Pfizer, though. 4.54% dividend. I own Pfizer already, and I would actually buy more if it was to pull back in that 32 area, maybe as a trade and in the long-term portfolio. I think there's good value in Pfizer here.
Okay, we got only 2 minutes left here in the show. Let's talk. INO got the beach yesterday, huh? And when these stocks start to turn, they start to turn. And boy.
Wicked.
I don't know what to tell you about this one. I mean,
it was initially interpreted as being good news, but I think the trade was just crowded, and everybody may be expecting, and obviously the 94% response rate is what we're talking about from the headline there yesterday. It continues to get hit here today. I believe we have a rating change on it today. I'm just going from my memory. I didn't see it there. So let's go here.
Step down seller here over the last hour. They want out. They want out bad. Trading at the lows of the pre-market session. Boom. Where are we at here? We are at 23.34. Looking at the low from yesterday, 23.59. So critical for this to catch a bid off the open. 26.95. That was your close from yesterday. You may not see that one, folks, but on the downside, don't think we're going to get to 20.63 today. That was your low on June 24th. All right,
you got a couple of downgrades. Maxim downgrading it here, and there was somebody else as well. I'm trying to find it. Roth, I believe, is the other one that's downgrading the stock here this morning. So you got a couple of downgrades happening, and that is why INO is trading down. And also you got to consider when other company does good on the vaccine front, and it's kind of a race to get there, it's never good for the other ones. So you'll see, when somebody announces, hey, we're getting some good news on the vaccine front, the other pure vaccine plays sometimes get licked on that too. So down 13% here. If you were to get down to the 15 area again on INO, it gets very interesting, but that's 8 points down from here. I think a 23 is still in the middle of nowhere here. So it's too early for me to come in here and buy the dip.
All right, Dennis, we're green. We're green by four handles.
The Pfizer news is helping.
The Pfizer
that broke at 850. There's no doubt. Vaccine news moves this market. Pfizer's now 34.15. We've been talking about this, as the headline risk to the bears. We've talked about this multiple times. That is what the market wants. And I said, you get a vaccine through, and this market could be at all-time highs. Like you get one that, hey, we've got this. This market will, and all those reopening plays go as well. So any type of positive headline from vaccine will always lift the S&Ps, at least in the short run. But remember, in the longer run, the virus still matters, and we're still a long ways away from vaccines. So we've been in a trading range for a while here on the S&Ps. We can get bullish, we can get bearish, but let's be honest, the entire June has just been chop. So buying the dips and selling the rips has worked the entire month of June. I don't see why it doesn't continue to work. As you get the rips up, you get to this 314, 315 on SPY. I think you're on the sellers again.
Pre-market high, they just went to 96.50 on that. Yesterday's high, 01.50. And then I mentioned the intraday high from last Friday at 04.5. While this is going to conclude this hour of pre-market.
Joel, you came up to a B. You had a slow start, but you finished
you
strong.
Just got all nervous and everything.
Oh, when it wasn't working on premarket.benzinga.com, I was like, here we go. Spencer trying to get him on fast dial here. We need help.
No,
but you know what? You came through. You came through.
I just want to read.
I had my doubts in that first minute, but you came through.
All the information, material, and/or content in this program is for informational purposes only. Investing in stocks, options, and futures is risky and not suitable for all investors. Please consult your own independent financial advisor before making any investment decisions. And I want to add something else to this. Tell us about your winning trades. Don't tell us about your losing trades. How about that? Just like everyone on Twitter. All right, folks, join me at back at 3:40 today with my special guest, Jim Tassoni. Thanks for joining us. Have a good one.